So, I mean, like I said, when they say, oh, we've won this war, Iran's through, I mean, how? They're still throwing punches.
In fact, Israel is now seeing severe economic damage. They're seeing severe political fallout. The first day of the courts in Israel resuming normal functions was a week ago or last week. And the first thing they did was continue the indictment and investigation into Netanyahu for corruption charges. So this is not benefiting anybody in Israel. So even the idea that we had to do this for Israel, it's clearly not panning out for any of the neocons who supported it. This is a terrible, disastrous conflict, and it needs to end now, like right now.
Thanks for.
And all right, guys, let's go ahead and get over to the next video here. Shout out to them. But all right, here, let's get into it. John Bolton on Trump calling for Hormuz blockage. Probably going to be the last one, and we're going to go ahead and close it out on this one. If you have any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, feel free to super chat it in, or you can go ahead and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate support, and make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're at it. All right, so let's get into what our guy, John Bolton.
Ambassador Bolton, last time you were on the show, you were talking about how you had advocated for this at your time at NSC. You wish they would have done it then. You were glad they did it now. But in that intervening time, you voiced some concerns, both in writing and on some of the other networks, about how this is proceeding. I'm wondering, I mean, we wanted to get your take on these seemingly failed talks in Pakistan, but now I want to ask you what your thoughts on this blockade that's being announced by President Trump just minutes ago.
Right. Well, I come from the perspective that the only way to get true peace and security in the Middle East is to have regime change in Iran. You can negotiate all you want with these people. It's not going to change anything. And I think
so pretty much you're saying is boots on the ground or nothing, because we can't regime change from the sky. We just got done with a video talking about their underground cities, so that's not possible. And let's be real though. Yeah, we just can't get regime change from the sky, and that's the only thing we're bragging about. Unless we put boots on the ground, what you guys don't want to do, I don't want to do, and I don't even think the Trump administration wants to do, we're not going to get that regime change that we want. So, sorry, Bolton, but unless you're ready to commit or just say out loud that we need to put boots on the ground, trust me, regime change ain't happening.
Failure of the Islamabad negotiations just makes the point as clearly as one can. I think the ceasefire was a mistake, but just dealing with where we are right now, part of the problem here was caused by Donald Trump a few weeks ago lifting American sanctions on the shipment of Iranian oil. Yep. And I think he was motivated by fear of rising international oil prices, and he thought a few tankers might get the price down. I don't think that's correct. I think it was insignificant. But what he was doing was allowing Iran to ship oil, not the Gulf Arabs, but Iran, presumably to get paid to gain resources to use in their military to kill Americans, financing the war against us. That never.
I'm like, bro, they've been preparing to fight us for a while now. I mean, before the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, they was already making 300 missiles a month. Before the closure, before the war, they was already doing this. So trust me, us stopping the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, us stopping the traffic through the strait for them isn't really going to do anything, because they've been doing this before they had control of it.
Made any sense, and he should reimpose the sanctions. I think that maybe, I haven't seen these tweets, but I think that may be what he's doing. And a blockade makes sense. You don't have to attack Karg Island. I don't think that was ever realistic. The point is, if no Gulf Arab oil gets out, no Iranian oil gets out. Let's see how they feel about that in Tehran.
We're going to get back to the blockade.
I mean, sure, they'll be just fine. Why? Because now a bunch of countries are going to test our gangster, because one, China needs their oil. I mean, Japan, Pakistan, they all need their oil. So what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to just stand by and just get starved of oil? No, they're going to slip by there. They're going to take that 50% tariff. And honestly, they're going to call Trump on his gangster. Like, let's see. Let's see what happens. I mean, I'm just going to give a prediction here. I honestly think that this blockage is going to be short-lived, or people are just going to start violating it, and we're just going to start picking and choosing who we allow to get their oil through that buys from Iran, sadly.
In a second, but you mentioned regime change. So I've got to ask you, this administration, the U.S. administration, seems to think that what has happened in Iran over the last 6 weeks constitutes as regime change. Do you agree?
That's ridiculous. Look, what we're dealing with is a group of religious fanatics pursuing a radical ideology, and it permeates the core of Ayatollahs at the top and certainly permeates the Revolutionary Guard. Now, the leadership of both the civilian side of the government and the Revolutionary Guard has been severely harmed by the last 6 weeks. Not enough, obviously, but it's beginning to fracture the regime at the top. There are signs of that inside Iran. And I think the devastation that's been unleashed against the instruments of Iranian state power, the Revolutionary Guard, the Quds Force, the besieged militia, are having a real effect inside Iran. I think the ceasefire was a mistake. The last thing you want to do is let up before you really do crack the regime and it collapses internally. That gives internal opponents and people who defect from the regime a chance to take over. Not guaranteed, but a chance.
Well, I think the challenge with that, Ambassador, some would point out, is there's not a clear group of those people. There's not clear opposition. There's not clear defectors. Who are the names? Who would be an acceptable leader of this country to you?
And are those moderates left? Because we've seen reports that many of them were potentially killed during some of these strikes.
Yep. Yeah. There were no moderates in the regime. If you judge
now you lying. Now you just lying. That guy Laranjani that we killed, yes, he was a moderate. He was talking to the Trump administration, and that's the deal that Trump was talking about. Like, yo, we're dealing with the right guys. This guy looks like he's gonna give us the deal we want, and we blew him up. Bro, the Ayatollah was a part of the deals before, and we blew that guy up. We've killed all the moderates that were willing to honestly give up their nuclear enrichment. We killed those guys. And yes, they were willing to give up their nuclear enrichment, but we moved the goalposts to their missiles and they said no. Now we killed all the guys who were willing to give up their nuclear enrichment for guys who ain't going to do it at all, like more hardliners.
The most important criteria, who favors getting Iranian nuclear weapons, they all favor it. The opposition is really quite widespread across the country. It is disorganized, that's a fact, but it's not like Iran had a two-party system. And we're saying, well, we want this party out and the other party in. I do think there will be a lot of turmoil. I think that's what happens after a 47-year-long dictatorship begins to collapse. And I don't think you can dictate who the leaders are going to be from the outside. But what we can say is if this regime begins to come apart, there are plenty of people inside.
Hey, shout out to my man Josh for sending the clapping seal for 250 joules. Appreciate the support, my man.
Who, seeing the ship going down, will decide they don't want to go down with it.
But Mr. Ambassador, what is the end goal here? Because, you know, we have your op-ed from earlier this week where you say the U.S. cannot leave without finishing the job. And we've been talking this morning, that was a fear of a lot of allies that the Trump administration, America would leave with the strait not fully reopened. It looks like they are taking action on that front. But even if they do, this regime has proven, I think, more durable than a lot of people in this current administration thought. I'm wondering if you thought they would outlast this long. And if they do start to crumble, to your point, there are no moderates in the country. What replaces them?
The people are the moderates. The regime itself is not a happy house for moderates. The Revolutionary Guard and the Ayatollahs have to be replaced. I don't think anybody can say with confidence that the regime has survived. You know, they've been building it for 47 years. We've attacked it for 6 weeks. A little patience is required here. The Gulf Arabs.
I mean, you know, if y'all told us it was going to take 6 weeks, yeah, we'd have had patience. But you told us in 4 days, and you killed the Ayatollah on day one, and the regime is still in power. With the new Ayatollah, new supreme leader, more of a hardliner than his dad. So yeah, bro, I don't know about all that. Like patience. I mean, bro, really patience? We didn't even want this war to begin in the first place. Now you want to talk about patience? When y'all told us, oh, have patience. It's only going to be 4 days, a week, 2 weeks, by the end of the month. And we're in the middle of April.
Will tell you, I think, that they don't look forward to living as vassals to the...
And shout out to my man Noah. He says, would you show Artemis 2 crew naming the crater before heading out? Hopefully we will go back soon. Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping so. I'm praying so.
Ayatollahs in Tehran.
Or them flat earthers will never let us live it down.
They want the strait opened. And I think now is the time to do it militarily, because if we cannot show today that we can open the strait, what happens 3 years from now when the Ayatollahs decide to close it again? If you want to live under that kind of regime, that is a guarantee of higher oil prices for a long time, and the Gulf Arabs being subordinate.
I also want to ask you, you know, I watched the Trump administration pull out of the JCPOA the first time.
Bad idea.
the situation going into negotiations in Pakistan overnight, the elements on the ground were not that different than the agreement that the U.S. pulled out of. Do you think that was a smart decision to even go to those negotiations? Do you think it gave Iran a card it wouldn't have had if J.D. Vance hadn't touched down in Islamabad?
Well, I don't think the negotiations gave them a card. I think the ceasefire gave them a card. They'd been subjected to 6 weeks of constant bombardment. Now they've had at least some time to be able to regroup, to see if they can reconnect, establish communications. I think you need to put the pressure back on them. The immediate point is to open the strait. If we open the strait to Gulf Arab oil, but not to Iranian oil, that would be the ideal interim fix, I think.
I mean, bro, of course that'd be ideal, but we can't do that because, like I said, Iran has the capability to start firing off missiles and drones at those ships. Due to the increased insurance premium on those ships, nobody's willing to take that risk. I mean, that's why even if the United States clear out the mines, nobody's going to take that risk.
Opening the strait and back to this idea of the blockade, which you have pushed for. In your New York Times op-ed, you write, if American combat forces entering the region can help open the strait by controlling territory on Iran's side, acknowledging the inevitable risks, that would be more sensible strategically. Does this mean U.S. forces actually on the ground in Iran?
Yes, I said more strategic than taking Karg Island. Look, while we've watched for the past 10 or 15 years, Iran has been fortifying a number of islands in the Gulf. That's how they've set up this tolling system. Now, at least 3 of those islands are actually claimed by the United Arab Emirates, Abu Musa, Greater Tunba, and Lesser Tunba. They're filled with tunnels that probably have missiles and other equipment. I think those are the kinds of targets that we need to neutralize so that we can make the strait safe for maritime transit. The military will have much more detailed knowledge of this, and I'm sure that's what they're thinking about now. It's not just clearing the mines from the strait, although that's obviously important, but protecting convoys of tankers from anti-ship missiles, swarms of Iranian fast boats, of which we've sunk a great number, and Iranian drones dropping.
Well, you know what the sick part about this is like when MAGA starts agreeing with John Bolton, you know, the biggest never Trumper and all that good stuff. When you guys start agreeing with all the never Trumpers, y'all should know that y'all lost. Y'all should know that y'all probably not in the right position. Since all the people who hated Trump on his first term is now on him, now saying that, oh, he's the best president ever, the second term because he's going to war with Iran. Like, I would hope you guys were smart enough to see through that, but I guess not. But all right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do y'all a favor, man. I do want to hear from some of the guys in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and post the call-in link and have some of you guys up here to either debate the topic or, you know, give your 2 cents on it as well. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat and in the post tab on my main page. It's all right.
Weapons from the sky.
You said we need to be patient with regime change, with change in Iran. But I'm wondering what that means. How long do you think this could take? How long do you think America should stay in this, considering this is a president who campaigned on no more forever wars? And do you think the president and the American public have the attention span for how long this could potentially take in order to see real, durable change?
Well, it's certainly the case. The president promised no more.
Trust me, we're already seeing change in the wrong direction. That's the problem. Gas prices going up, inflation going up. Yeah, that's a change in the wrong direction that we kind of warned everybody about. We were saying that, yo, this war is not going to be good for the economy, but yet they're just doing it anyway, walking back all the progress that they made. And apparently they want to provide amnesty now to illegals. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get the Dems on their side over this war. We'll see.
Wars, that's his problem. I mean, he apparently doesn't think too much of the pledge because that's what he's doing now. And it is important to get the American public.
All right. I went ahead and posted the StreamYard link on the post tab. So all you got to do is go to my page and you'll see the post. You'll see the StreamYard link. Just posted it there. Remember, on my main page on the post tab. And then I went ahead and posted it in the chat as well. But all right.
to understand why we're doing this, which is another problem of President Trump. He did not make what I think is the very compelling case for regime change before the war. He didn't try to persuade the American people. He didn't work with Congress. He didn't brief our allies. He didn't work with the Iranian opposition. It's still not too late, but a lot of the problems could have been alleviated. And you ask how long, I don't think you can put a time frame on it. I just want to introduce one radical concept, victory. That we actually defeat the regime, remove the threat of Iran's nuclear weapons program, remove the threat of international terrorism, remove the threat that's really almost as grave as...
No, bro, the John Bolton glazing in the chat is hilarious. Like I said, literally the guy that got in trouble trying to throw in jail last year, now you guys are glazing him over to support for the war. It's like, bro, man, MAGA, bro, y'all fake as hell, dog. Y'all fake as hell.
To, and that's
don't do this, MAGA. Don't do this.
Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz.
Ambassador, I understand that, but also you live in the real world. You've lived in Washington. We've got midterms coming up. We've been talking all morning about what this is doing for prices for the American public and how voters vote on kitchen table issues, and that's affordability. The longer this persists, the more we're going to see uncertainty in markets. Even if the Strait is open, it's not going to be open at the tempo that it was before, certainly not for some time. Aren't those two going to hit the road potentially before this job is accomplished? And do you think this administration, given what's coming in November, will wait it out? Or do you think they will cut and run before the job is done?
Well, consider the cost of not succeeding. That has cost too. I think the president could make a very effective case that if you could get Gulf oil, Gulf Arab oil coming out of the region again, given that before this started, the world was awash with petroleum. People were talking about the surplus and what to do about it. I think prices would come down very quickly, especially when it looks like it is safe to bring maritime traffic through the Gulf. Simply the fact that the Gulf is open will cause prices to drop dramatically. So I think look, we should have done this 6 weeks ago. He should have seen this at the beginning. He said, I was surprised that they tried to close the Strait. I was surprised they attacked the Gulf Arab states. I can't imagine the Pentagon didn't warn.
I know, right? It's like when Trump said, oh, I'm a bit surprised. We were all looking at him like, what do you mean you're surprised? One, they've done this before. And two, they told you they were going to do this. What do you mean you're surprised? And even John Bolton's here, even though he's glazing Trump right now, he's like, bro, I doubt the Pentagon didn't tell him that this was a possibility. Like, I doubt that. But, the Israelis sold it to him as if, bro, we'll destroy him so quick, they won't even have the time to do it. And boy, how they were wrong about that.
Of these dangers beforehand, maybe he just didn't pay attention.
The president, in that Truth Social post at the top of the hour, just before the hour, said that nuclear was not among the points agreed to. We know that's certainly a sticking point for both parties when it comes to these discussions. It has been for years at this point. Ambassador, you're all too familiar with that. Is there a way for the U.S. to get this country to dismantle its nuclear enrichment program without changing the regime at the top?
No. I think that's the clear point. If you cannot change a regime's behavior and you don't want to live under an unacceptable threat like disappearing in a mushroom cloud, then the answer is change the regime. George W. Bush put it very, very well when he was president. He said, we cannot allow the world's most dangerous weapons to fall into the hands of the world's most dangerous people. And a lot of those most dangerous people are running the regime in Tehran.
All right, now a story just came about 24 minutes ago, New York Times. Oh, wow. So let's see here. New York Times says, what U.S. Navy will do now? Two ships have broken Trump's blockade. Ooh. Let me make sure. All right, well, New York Times. Let's see what they got to say. In the meantime, let me track this down.
The bigger question.
Oh, guys, and like I said, the calling line's open. I'm going to give you guys at least 8 minutes to come on up, or I'll just, close down the stream, no problem. I got to head out anyway soon. But I do still want to give you guys your 20 minutes to come up here and give me your thoughts and opinions. So like I said, it's in the post tab on my main page. And you know what? I'll go ahead and post it again. Oh, shoot. You know what? My bad. I forgot my man Guest Dude right there. Guest Dude, what's going on?
Not much. Pulling up the numbers right now. I don't remember what the link is. Yeah, that thing I posted in Discord a while back that kind of covers the number of missiles and how much we burned through. Israel right now is I believe, somewhere in the mid 50s of Patriot missiles left. We burned through something like 30% of our Tomahawks. Like we're out of resources. This war can't be won.
Damn, bro, and check this out.
It will take 10 years for us to restock the amount of missiles we used.
Jesus. And bro, we just don't have the manufacturing base at all.
And that's if the time right now, I think it's this year. I'll have to look at the date. I think it's this year. The Nationalist Party in Taiwan is likely going to win, and they're already talking about opening up talks with China after this.
Bro, and what I said, my prediction turned out to be true. Wow. So yes, U.S. sanctioned Chinese tankers breaks Hormuz blockage. The tanker is the first known one to transit the strait since U.S. announced this blockage amid deceptive tracking tactics and cracks in efforts to choke off maritime oil flow.
That's because we're not putting our actual Navy out there. We put like 1 or 2 ships. You could see them on the tracker.
A Chinese-owned tanker under U.S. sanction has transited the Strait of Hormuz, making the first known passage through the strait waterway since the current blockage took hold. The oil chemical carrier Rich Terry is owned by Shanghai.
Yes, go to the ship tracker, because even U.S. Navy has to have their transponders on when they're in open water that has other ships transferring around. So you could see we don't have that much sitting there. And if God forbid the Iranians break the ceasefire and take down one of our ships, we don't have the political capital to deal with that. And we already know they can overpower a Patriot missile system. They could easily overpower a missile destroyer. Because a missile destroyer uses the exact same defense system, which is just a combination of the Navy's version of the CRAM, and I think I'm trying to remember what
they was blowing through the Golden Dome. So trust me, I believe you on that.
Oh yeah, not
the Golden, but what was it? The Iron Dome in Israel.
They were going through the Iron Dome. They depleted almost all the Patriot missiles. We've had to pull THAADs and Patriots out of South Korea to restock. And their drones were able to bypass our CRAM network in Kuwait. We're not ready for this war. There's a problem with the military where every war we go into, we've only been training for the previous war. Add to the fact that we don't have any SMEs, subject matter experts, for this kind of war. The Ukrainians came down to help. I believe it was Qatar or the UAE. They came down to help. And they were like, why are you using 8 Patriots for 1 drone? We were burning through an average of 8 Patriots for 1 drone. There was evidence that on at least 3 different occasions, the UAE burned 20 Patriot missiles to kill 1 drone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that was the main concern at the beginning of the war. We're throwing what was it, $500,000 to $1 million missiles at 20 to 50K drones. And we just couldn't keep doing that.
Burned through them. And we don't have the chips to replace them. There's not enough superconductors on the planet to build them. Lockheed Martin is freaking out because the U.S. government just told them they have to triple their output. They can't. Not for 5 years. We don't have the means to fight this war. I'm not sitting here trying to be a doomsayer on this. I just know how wars are fought. I know the resources that are involved. Aside from us throwing literally our entire Navy at them and then trying to do a ground invasion and just even that's not going to work. People forget we did this already. We did this with Rolling Thunder in Vietnam. We burned down a third of North Vietnam, and they kept coming. Back when we had the capacity to burn down a third of an entire country, we still lost. So what are we going to do now when we don't have the capacity? Nobody seems to understand how big Iran is. It's the size of Alaska. It's 1/6 the size of the United States, covered in mountains.
Yep. I think it's like what, 2 Texas? Like it's like, bro, 2 times
Yeah,
bigger than
it's
Texas.
twice the size. It's 1/6 the size of the United States. Like if you put it on the East Coast, it makes it all the way to almost Colorado.
Damn. All right.
I mean, it's a huge country, and it's covered in mountains. Their military's on par with ours. I mean, they're practically using the same technology we use, and they're ready for it because they've been learning from the Russians of what to like. They've actually looked at it and gone, okay, drones work really well. Most of the war, they've been building these drones for Russia. That's how many of these drones they have. They had enough for themselves and to arm Russia. That's how quickly they make these drones.
Damn. No, you're
So,
right,
I mean,
though. I mean, like, think about how much of those Shahed drones it was applying. You're right, Russia alone, and now we know that they have underground cities making missiles and these drones.
I mean, we knew that already. Like, Afghanistan had underground cities in the mountains. You think Iran wouldn't take advantage of that?
You know, some people did not know that, bro. Actually,
I
I'll be
mean,
real with you, dog. I knew that they had these underground cities, but I didn't know to the extent. Like, I didn't know how advanced they were.
like
How
Iran is
sophisticated.
a mountain fortress. There's no easy taking it over. We can't do a ground war. Our Navy doesn't have the capacity to do anything about it. We could commit a whole bunch of war crimes and take out their power plants. But I mean, that's a Article 56, I believe, of the Geneva Convention. Don't quote me on that, the actual article, but I know it states you cannot destroy power plants if they are primarily for civilian usage.
All right, but where do you see
And I
this war
mean,
go? All right, so where do you see this war going in the next couple of weeks? You think we're going to maintain this blockage? You think we're going to let it go?
considering our Navy just showed that they're not willing to do the thing they say, it's more Trump saying shit and then his military not doing it. I mean, there's legitimate evidence right now that the Ford was sabotaged by its own crew.
Hold on. What?
Yeah, there's evidence that the Ford was sabotaged. Who in their right mind genuinely believes that laundry fire
Yeah,
is
I'm
going to
not gonna
require
lie.
18 months of repair?
Look, but I get you on now. Even I was calling that. Even I was highly skeptical. I was like, "Come on now, a laundry fire," and it got that bad to where
Yeah.
you had to bring it out of range and give it like, what was
Oh
it
no,
like?
it's out of commission for at least 18 months.
Oh wow, I thought they was saying it was
Like
gonna be right back in there.
there's the not like the inside the military, they're trying to say it was sabotage now. Not just a laundry fire, but it was sabotage, which tells me it was likely hit by Iran.
Yeah,
And we're
most
just
likely a
not willing
drone.
to admit that we just lost our capital ship.
Yeah, because not a good look. It's just not a good look.
Oh, this enemy that was supposed to be so easy to beat was able to fire something over the entire Arabian Peninsula to hit us.
All right.
And we
So
already know their drones can do it because they were hitting the city that was, I can't remember the name of the city, but it's like 130 miles north of Mecca, the port city in Saudi Arabia. We already know their drones can do it.
Yep, we know. No, bro, we know their
And
drones apparently
and
can
we know
reach
they can
all over.
bypass that. We know that their missiles can reach that far because they 4,000 miles. We also know that they can overwhelm defenses. So it's completely within the realm of possibility because a laundry fire, 18-month repair, 600 bunks destroyed.
Yeah, that don't sound like no laundry fire. I'll be honest with you. Unless y'all was all sleeping to where it got that bad, there's just
Where
really
was
hard to believe it.
like it apparently burned for hours, which
All
means
right.
the damage control teams had trouble dealing with it. A laundry fire.
But all right, now I do want to know, what do you think about Iran heading towards a nuke? Do you think that
I
we
mean,
even
okay, so here's the thing.
Go ahead.
It's a two-part thing. One, why do we care about Iran having a nuke? Let's say they have a nuke. Israel is not part of the, I believe it's, I can't remember the acronym, but they're not part of the International Nuclear
Proliferation Treaty.
Yeah, they're not part of it. No one knows how many nukes Israel has. because they refused to tell anybody. They refused to even admit they have nukes.
I don't know. The only numbers I've ever heard was 90.
Yeah, but they refuse to be a part of the international community with their nukes.
Yep. And they're allowed to claim this ambiguity because if they didn't, then we'd have to cut off funding.
But here's Iran. Okay, so if they were 2 weeks away, which was the entire argument for why we started this, and we know they have these underground cities, and we know that they were producing this stuff in underground facilities, where's this mushroom cloud that we should be seeing right now? Because if ever there was a time for them to utilize it, even if it's just a dirty bomb, wouldn't it be when supposedly we destroyed their entire infrastructure? We're winning. We burned them down. They have no weapons left, but they were 2 weeks from a nuke. Like, the story doesn't make sense at all. At least the Bush administration tried to lie to us well.
Yeah, it's hitting us with Iran was just weeks away from a nuke. It's just like, are you serious?
If they were actively trying to do anything, they would at least have a dirty bomb.
By now, considering that they had a 6% enrichment since 2021, I mean, under the Biden administration would have been the best time to get it done.
Like they could easily have strapped a ton of their missiles with just the uranium. They don't even need to have super enriched. They could just have radioactive, 30% enriched, and just end Israel, end all of our military bases, make it impossible for us to use them. But no, they're not doing that. And we haven't seen any mushroom clouds. And who are they supposed to nuke? Like, who is it that Iran was supposed to nuke? Israel? No, because the Dome on the Rock is there. They would piss off the entirety of the Muslim world.
Thank you. That's why I said, I'm like, Israel kind of got like a spiritual protection just because the Alexa Mosque, which is the Dome on the Rock, is right there. It's the third holiest site in Islam.
Like okay, so they're just
bro, we're talking about over 1 billion Muslims are on your ass.
And the fact that Iran has had a peace agreement and good relations with Iraq since the 80s, despite the fact 2 of their holy sites are there. If there was anyone that Iran should have invaded by now, they've had plenty of opportunity to invade Iraq. They haven't. They could have easily taken Afghanistan. They haven't. Like, where's the supposed evil Axis state that they make Iran out to be?
Yeah, because Iran has not invaded nobody. They haven't even tried to expand their borders.
Like, they're funding a bunch of Shia organizations like Hezbollah and Hamas. Well, Hamas is fighting against a genocidal ethno state. Like I'm tired of people pretending.
Pretty much defending their borders. The only guys who are pretty much reckless in
which now we're seeing perfectly good evidence for why Hamas and Hezbollah even exist. Hamas, literally. Israel. What does a Jewish state even mean? That means Jew is both religious and ethnic, which means this is an ethno state and a theocracy that is actively committing a genocide. And now invading and taking huge territory from their neighbors. The two things that are like, yeah, this is what those two organizations existed for, to prevent these things.
And I mean, that's the truth. Like I said, Hezbollah was created out of the pure fact that Israel took southern Lebanon one time and they got it back. And that's how, Lebanon got it back. And that's how Hezbollah was formed, through the resistance of Israeli aggression. Hamas was formed through the funding through Israel, actually. I mean, they actually funded Hamas.
Do we have to continue to pretend that just because you talk about Israel negatively, you're somehow anti-Semitic, when something like 50 to 60% of all the Jews in America are anti-Zionist, anti-Israel right now?
Yeah, they're really going to do us like that.
Are we going to forget?
They do me like that the most. And I'll be trying to tell
or are we going to forget that?
I hate talking about Israel all the time, but when Israel involves themselves in everything, you kind of got to call it out.
And are we going to forget that the Palestinians are technically Semites? I'm pretty sure committing a genocide against a group of people that are Semitic is probably more anti-Semitic than being against a theocratic ethno state. Not the people. not Jews as a whole group across the entire planet.
Of course not.
Just the genocidal, theocratic ethno-state.
I mean, but here's the problem, though. And I mean, you know, what kills me about Israel? Israel tries to sell us this hatred of Muslims and Arabs, so we're on their side when it comes to the reckless killing of these people.
We're on their side because they bought and paid for half of our government, if not more.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Like you saw the shit I dumped in Discord.
Bro, people like Pete Hicks said, they don't gotta buy those people out. Like, bro, the eschatology is real.
Are you kidding me?
Truly believe in the mission.
Are you kidding me? He has the word Yeshua tattooed on his arm in Hebrew. Like they're Zionists. They're all Zionist.
Yeah, and this problem with this whole Zionist plan is that, bro, this is a plan, I'm gonna be real with you, of conquest and genocide, and nobody wants to call it out. The fact that we got Christian churches supporting it should be called out.
What does Deus Volt mean? Oh, that's a Christian argument for stealing the Holy Land from Muslims.
I mean, bro, it's like, and this is what kills me. Like these days, people be trying to like whitewash the Crusades and all that, making it sound like it was just this liberation. When I'm just like, look, what happened during the Crusades are the same things you guys get mad about the Muslims doing.
Both sides were acting a damn fool.
Both sides, literally. And I always do say, it's like, bro, killing in the name of religion is wrong no matter who does it. It's just
at least the Saracens were willing to back down.
My bad. Go ahead.
The Saracens, at least they were willing to back down.
Yeah,
Mamluks were a little bit different. They didn't want to back down for anything.
Doc.
They were a bit crazy. They were willing to go full ham.
Man.
And then you got the Moors. The Moors were really not fans of the whole Reconquista.
Yeah, that's true. So,
but I mean, this is something that's been boiling up for years. And then if anyone actually takes the time to dig deep and study the foundational principles of Zionism and dispensationalism and Christian and Jewish Zionism as two separate entities that seem to work with each other, it's like people forget that, oh yeah, Christian Zionism's a thing. So when I'm criticizing Zionism, it's not just criticizing Jewish Zionism.
Yeah.
And people seem to forget that Israel was founded by a bunch of Trotskyists and communists. Bro. Supposedly, like they were full on, like communists from Eastern Europe,
bro.
Like a lot of them,
by a guy labeled the father of terrorism for bombing the King David Hotel.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is like you got so many of the founding members of Zionism and the colonial. I can't remember the full term, but if you look at like their bank, the first bank of Israel was the colonial bank. They were colonizing.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even try to pretend. They only play around with words and propaganda and all this stuff. I mean, it's all them trying to cover up what they're doing in Israel. Because they knew if they came out as communist or any of the things they really are, then they wouldn't survive. And that's now it's all coming out. Why do you think you have people like Larry Ellison, who is a devout Zionist, buying stuff like CBS, TikTok, Paramount?
TikTok was the worst for the Zionists. What was it? The letter to America from Osama bin Laden. They did not want that to get around any more than it did.
Yeah, TikTok blew up Israel.
Yeah, bro, it completely turned the younger generation against Israel. Once we found out why they don't like us, why they yell death to America, that's what radicalized a lot of people to the anti-war side. Because like, bro, they hate us for a reason. It's because we keep effing with them. If you stop doing it, then maybe all this terrorism is going to disappear. But people who don't know the history, they just think that, oh, well, they've always hated us because we're Americans and we're free. And it's like, no, we've been fucking with them for years. The same 47 years these guys have been in power has been the same amount of time we've been fucking with them.
Dude, and the whole reason the revolution in 79 happened was because the guy they were revolting against was put in power by the Americans.
Bro, to pretty much use their resources in our favor.
No, because we were fighting the Cold War.
Yeah, that's true. But to also
We
make
didn't.
sure that we continue to have their oil be used in our favor.
Yeah, because that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Everyone who keeps saying, "Oh, America's got so much oil, so much oil." We have 44 billion barrels of oil that are confirmed in the United States. The world uses 100 million a day. That's only 400 days. 400 days. We're already with the Strait being closed for 6 weeks now.
Shoot.
We're already closing in on a billion barrel deficit. The
Damn.
COVID, we didn't hit this amount because it's an inverse. We had demand drop to about 700 million barrels drop. Oil got to negative 40.
Oh,
now,
man.
if you flip that, we're looking at oil prices being $150 to $200 a barrel. Right now, it's already trading at about actual trading, not futures, which is just speculative market, which is a bunch of guys really hoping this doesn't turn into a shit show.
Yep. Because right now we're at the 95 for, I think, let me go.
Yeah, that's futures. The actual selling prices is reaching 140. Like, it's hard to find that. Like, you have to go digging. It's like at $140, $150 because the countries are running out.
I think I actually know what you mean, because when I go into what was it? The oil futures, it kind of does show me something a little bit different here. Like,
yeah, see. And that's the futures. That's people speculating for what the prices are going to be in May and June.
Man, bro, I just remember when, what was it?
And I really love the fact that they're being that stupid, that people are buying futures at that price right now, because if this doesn't end, they're putting in an option on futures at that price. If in May or June, when they have to buy it, it's $200, $300, you could be watching a bunch of hedge funds just get fucking wiped out.
Jeez.
Because they don't have that kind of liquidity.
Look at my screen right now, and this is literally where we were trading at on the day of the war.
Yeah.
So,
and I guarantee a bunch of people got wiped out.
Back to normalcy in the economy. If we don't get back to this, we're kind of cooked.
Yeah. And right now, Australia's out of oil. South Korea just threatened Israel over this. Like, South Korea is cutting themselves off from everything right now. Like, they're putting, like, the South Korean president said he's going to launch an investigation into war crimes and genocide against Israel and decide whether or not they're going to continue their relationship.
Yep.
Like, Japan is now debating whether or not they need to negotiate with China.
I mean, at this point,
we're losing our allies across the world right now.
Because
Hungary,
but think about it like this: this complete blockage did screw Japan, because they was able to work something out with the Iranians to get their oil. Now we're not even allowing that. And bro, as I just reported, somehow I predicted this, but yeah, I told you somebody was going to test their gangster. Somebody was going to test their gangster, and it was China. And China,
and there was no way we were going to. There was no way we were going to fire on those ships, because that's considered piracy. There's no declared war against these countries. That would be declared an interdiction on a flagged ship that is not actively at war with you is piracy.
Oh, so that's where that claim was coming from. Okay, because like I was hearing about this whole piracy, like, oh, this will be piracy, but I didn't.
It's illegal as hell.
Okay,
like even threatening it is illegal as hell.
Ooh,
like, and right now, Hungary was the only country in all of the EU that was standing between Israel and the United States being fucking sanctioned. And right now, the UN could easily sanction